What's going on, people? Now, welcome to Members Only. Tonight we're heading over to the West Coast. Now, I'm covering a story that many others covered over the years, but here's my version. Now, you don't have to be from Cali to know that Compton was something else in the 90s. The gangs controlled the neighborhoods, and the cops only could do so much. A city that had cops picking sides. Yes, cops belonging to certain sets. Act gangster if you want to, cops will drop you off in a rival gang territory. See, the gangsters nowadays, compared to the ones in the 90s, are night and day. And it's back when you had to be gangster to claim a set. You had to really put in the work. You had an OG that put you on and could vouch for you. See, Orlando Anderson wasn't no stranger to none of that. He was about his business. He wasn't out there playing with nobody. And it was always on sight. He was young, he was wild. He'll get you in front of a cop if he had to. He'll put in work in one of his baby mom cars if he had to. That was just one person you didn't want to have any problems with at all. Now, Orlando was a very smart kid. He went to school every day and got good grades. I don't think being a Crip was ever in the plan, but for one, he hung around a Crip neighborhood. And two, all his friends were Crips. So around that time, if you wasn't a Crip or a Blood, but your neighborhood was, you're considered that. Especially when the other side asks you where you from. So it made it that you had to pick a side. And as a youngin', being around those friends, he would tag along to get into some trouble, involving in robberies, fighting. He will step up into some gunplay and got into some trouble with the law enforcement early on. He would still graduate high school and still receive his diploma. Now, being out of school would cause him to hit the streets more. He would hang out more often and learn the streets from being around his OGs. He started to make babies and needed to start providing for not just one, but two households. So since he had two baby mamas, he had to make things happen ASAP. He hit the streets and start hustling on top of getting it the legal way at a lowrider shop. He wanted to tap into the music industry, especially after seeing all the money up north that the Mob Piru was getting with Suge Knight. Now, Suge would change lives with Death Row Records, giving out good paying jobs to the Bloods. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard the Southside Crips and the Mob Piru rivalry went back as far as the 1970s. Now, the incident at Lakewood Mall involving a scuffle with Mob Piru member Trayvon Lane, some say his death row chain was targeted, but the plan was unsuccessful. The chain snatching attempt angered the set. The dude Trayvon Lane was the actual person that inducted Pac into the set, so Pac had to move out to get some cool points with him. Now, Pac was actually the first one to make a move when they spotted Baby Lane in the MGM lobby after the Tyson fight in Vegas. And they put hands and feet on him. Now, Orlando couldn't leave Vegas and go back to Compton without a comeback story. So he got with some of his men and they went out hunting Mob Piru members. Now, for them to even spot Tupac and Suge in a busy Las Vegas during fight night is crazy to me, but it was on sight. The Southside Crips did what they was known to do best, and we already know what happened. Now, we all could say no one deserves to die over a fight. I think what made it worse is when the other guys came over and started riding. But once you put your hands on another man, you must be prepared for what comes with it. Pac didn't know who he was putting his hands on that night, and I'm pretty sure they didn't tell him to move out the way he did. And as far as Orlando, you can hate him all you want, but he did what he was supposed to do as a gangster. Now, after the Tupac incident, Baby Lane started to buzz and his name started to ring. He would be focused more on his record label, and his plan was to use the Tupac incident as publicity to get the label off the ground and sort of compete with Death Row Records. But he was a gangster first and was still taking care of street business. September 9th, 1996, 2 days after the Tupac incident, a high-ranked Southside Crip, Darnell Brim, was hit up several times in a drive-by shooting in Compton. He survived the shooting, and it was said that he was one of the guys in the car during the Vegas shooting. Now, on that same day, 2 Luther Park Piru members were hit by 9mm bullets when alleged Southside Crip members riding in a blue blazer spotted them in front of a hangout. Some say it's related to the war between the Southside Crips and the Mob Piru, but it was so much gun smoke going on, you ain't know where it was coming from. The Southside Crips were aligning themselves with the Neighborhood Crips, the Kelly Park Crips, and Atlantic Drive Crips. And the Mob Pirus were aligning with the Luther Park Crips and the Elm Lane Pirus. September 10th, which was the very next day, Gary Williams, A death row associate was a victim in a drive-by shooting by the Southside Crips. Now, the war went on for about a week or two, then everything calmed down. Now, shortly after, Orlando Anderson was arrested by Compton police in a gang sweep on October 2nd. During his police arrest, police found machine guns, assault rifles, weapons that looked as they were preparing for a war. They wanted to charge him for a different body that time, but the Compton police were unable to satisfy the district attorney with enough information to hold him, so he was released. Now, my question is, why wasn't he charged for any of the guns? Because that was enough to put him away for a while. Now, Orlando Anderson would stay in the media. He would be a part of, TV interviews with a smirk on his face talking about the Tupac incident. Nothing's funny about a man's death, don't get me wrong, but the interview clips itself is hilarious because you could tell he's not a good liar at all. If you need someone to back you up in a lie, he's the last person you would go to. But yeah, it was like he enjoyed all the attention. He actually came to Suge Knight's trial. He testified on Suge Knight's behalf and said that Suge didn't stump him during the Vegas incident. And the fact that he ain't even have to show up doesn't get any gangster than that. Yeah, they were just like, hey, we gonna keep law enforcement out of this, and we gonna keep it in the streets. Now, some say Suge paid him off. And if it's true, let me know in the comments. And tell me how much was it, because I think I heard it was about like $60K or something like that. May 29th, 1998, Orlando Anderson pulls up to a food spot called Mom's Burger. From there, he spots two corner pocket Crips at a car wash across the intersection of street, whatever it was. Now, one of the two owed money and been ducking him. He leaves the restaurant and goes to the hood to pick out one of his people. When he comes back to the area, the guys are still at the wash. He parks up, exits the vehicle with the vicious press game. At that moment, it was three Crips. When he approached the Crip about the money, he ain't like what was said, and he ain't like what he heard. So, his gun went off. Shots were returned by Jerry J. Dog Stone, hitting Orlando, causing a slow death. Orlando took two of the guys with him, leaving the third wounded. Stone was one of the two that lost their lives. When Orlando went down, his partner grabbed the gun and started shooting. You live by the gun, you die by the gun. He died very young. And let's say if Tupac would have made it out of Vegas alive and Baby Lane didn't lose his life, they would have been exactly where Suge is now. Pac was out on bail and had open cases during the incident, and he was caught on camera during the assault. So by that Monday, he would have had to turn himself in. Orlando was already super hot on the streets, and his name was attached to other murders. Now, I don't wish jail on anybody, but I think prison would have saved both of their lives, if you ask me. Now, no matter what Tupac story you hear, it always ends with Orlando Anderson, two African-American men that look just alike, trying to survive, with one trying to get where the other person is, and the other being successful, wanting to be a part of the other person's world. R.I.P. to both brothers. This story could be a lesson to young black men that made it. And it seems like it repeats itself in different forms right in front of our faces. With the King Von incident, the Young Thov situation. If you're a man, of course, defend yourself at all costs. But success is the best revenge. Now, shout out to all my supporters. If you're watching this, hit that like button. Make sure you turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on my new content. But thanks for watching. I'm out.